and welcome back. Today we have session 3 of the YMCA's 5-part series, Free Entrepreneurship Services. So today we have Building Your Network and Supporting CAS, facilitated by Ted Cadigan, once again, YMCA of Newfoundland and Labrador's Senior Business Consultant. So thanks, Ted, for being here today, and take it away.
Thanks so much, Ian. Happy to be back. Loving how we're building on the content from previous sessions. So for individuals watching, if you want to go back and watch previous content or connect with Ian or myself about getting access to that content, please let us know. With that said, we also want to remember that each of these sessions is independently valuable. It's not cumulative where you need to have been here for the first few to understand the content we're working on now and that we'll work on in the future. Building off of that, like Ian mentioned, today's content is about building your network and supporting CAS. And in the context of entrepreneurship, that means that you're assessing who can be around you as you develop your business. What we're going to do first is we're going to try to categorize how you might put people into relationships, circumstances, or situations with your business. How close are they to supporting you? Knowing that every industry, every individual, and every business model is different. So these are interchangeable, but we want you to have the language and tools to talk through how people can support you. And the 5 things we're going to talk about are the personal, leverageable existing network, your community network, your professional social web, meaning the more broad space, the suite of purchasable services, and your core paid supporting CAS. There's going to be overlap between these, but we want you to leave with a sense of, I can identify how a person works with me or supports me in relation to my entrepreneurial journey. After that, we're going to talk about examples of where you might need these supports or where you might implement them, and we're going to close. So, first thing, personal, leverageable existing network. This is basically a conversation about family and friends and letting entrepreneurs know that the majority of individuals starting businesses have a fundamental support relationship with family and friends. Sometimes it's financial in nature. Other times they are part of the plan to initially launch the business. And I want to dispel the rumor that introducing family and friends supports in a business plan for when you're getting started is novice or inappropriate. It's not. If those are the people that are going to be supporting you, include them in the process. I want you to make sure you're honest and reciprocal with these individuals, where if you're a family or a friend and they're coming in for a especially paid or lending business transaction, you need to be concrete with your expectations, but it's okay to have them around you. And it's okay, like it says on the bottom there, to officially represent the value of that existing network in your plans. So that's your core group that you can turn to. One of the key things about them, they can come and go from your business depending on the relationship as you see fit and need. And also make sure to give these people the space to say, here's what I need from the transaction. Here's how I can support and here's how I cannot support. Here's when I'm okay being spoken to or connected with, and here's when I'm not. So it's okay to try to build structure in relationships that begin as friends and family. That's number 1. Number 2, this would be your community network, industry specific or otherwise. That means the organizations, businesses, or co-businesses, I'll say, and institutions, including in the community sector, that are here to support you, be those in your municipality, at the provincial level, the federal level. The college and the YMCA are both examples of that. So your community network is the institutions and organizations that can be around you as you develop a business. They're exceptional tools for collecting market research, confirming the structures and processes surrounding permitting, license, and registration. They might even help you access industry-specific information about other related businesses. An example would be a board of trade or a chamber of commerce in a rural municipality. I want you to be able to catalog and move forward, understanding what institutions in community can support you. Beyond that, there's the potential professional and social web. So that's not friends and family, and it's not institutions, but it's people that you have a formal relationship with through working or entrepreneurial channels. Maybe it's mentors, maybe it's future prospective customers, maybe it's competitors that you have a collegial and collaborative relationship with. So think of it where a person from a what we'll call traditionally employed environment has colleagues either in their business of operation or in other businesses or organizations. You deserve to have that and be able to leverage your professional social web as much as anyone else. Self-employment in this sense doesn't mean you're alone, and it's okay to have professional relationships beyond that. Try to summarize it with a list on the bottom where we talk about collaborators, we talk about service providers. So again, these could be paid people, depends on the situation, but we'll talk more about that after. Customers, competitors, consumers. For information on the difference between a consumer and a competitor, head back to talk about how a customer is the payer and the consumer is the user of goods. Little tip from the last session. It could be persons in the media. It could be an audience on a professional page, people that you're frequently engaging with on social media outlets. It's that network that you're growing, but it's not institutions. It's not family and friends. It's individuals that you have a rapport with. Okay, now these are a tier above that, where they're individuals that from time to time or consistently throughout your business, you could purchase services from them. Individuals include legal supports, accountants, purveyors and providers of social media programming, so people that are building your website, maintaining your social media pages. It could be contractors, it could be suppliers. This is the group of people that are not only in your network because you're aware of them, but they're in your network because you've done business with them before, or you do business with them on a regular basis. And having an organizational structure to how you build a relationship with these people is at a different tier. Maybe their credit limits are different, or the terms of purchase are different, or a time of year they like to vacation is different. And you want to have an accommodating but productive relationship with this person. So this is the tier between they're in my network and they're immediately supporting me, or they're even staffed up in my business. We call them the suite of purchasable essential services. Finally, this is the crew that you need. For people that are working with you day to day, their presence is imperative to the operations of your business, or they might even work within your business from time to time as a consultant, as a paid staff, as somebody who on an annual cycle comes in and does work for you, like your specific accountant or the person that supported your incorporation and documentation drafting. This is the category of individual that you say, without you, there's a break in the cogs in this machine, and that needs to be replaced, that needs to be repaired, or a way around it needs to be established. Key difference here being, you don't go forward without them or with a different version of the work that they do. So we're going to scale back to the first slide so we can kind of break this down, but I wanted you to have a quick overview of how we hope you look at the people around your business. So number one, we'll do a recap. Personal, leverageable, existing network. Friends and family whose relationship with your business comes and goes. What that means is you can represent how they're going to support you in your business plan, and they can be with you from the beginning or at a later date. The community network is the institutions, organizations, and individuals in community that are supporting in a formal way. Those might be institutions like the YMCA, like the college, your municipal offices, your office or department relevant to your business at the provincial government, and the community sector examples extend out. So those are institutional relationships. Your professional social web are individuals that you know that can support and build your brand and name and reputation, but you don't necessarily have a transactional relationship with. The suite of purchasable services is an intermediary between number 3 and number 5, where there are people you could do business with or begin a formal financial transaction. And your core paid supporting cast are the people that are working on or working in your business to a degree that without them you couldn't function, or you would have to find an alternative way forward. I'm giving you this information so you can catalog and change how you work with different people and different institutions that fall into different categories. It's really helpful if you're writing a business plan or you're trying to relay to an individual who is around you and who's going to make this tick, especially if you're presenting to funders, investors, or applying for something that requires a business plan. So clicking back through these, the question becomes, where do I need these supports? What components of my business do I have to implement these 5 categories of relationship? And I'm going to breeze through these, and you can slow down or pause if you have one that's relevant to you, but we want to make this globally valuable. So number one, distribution. You need to look at how your product or service is getting to your customer and looking at who in that supply chain you need. Is it because there's somebody that greets a person at a front desk? Is product or service in transit? Is service delivered remotely? Is there an online version of the service? And who are the people and institutions that take this from you as the individual to the consumer and customer who's making the purchase? So some context on how those people could be there through distribution. Number two, location. At its core, it's the rationale for where you're locating your business and the costs associated with that location. This could be something physical, where you have a financial transaction with a landlord or an individual at a bank that's managing your physical purchase of a space, or it could be the physical and ongoing purchase of online space. Maybe you have an ongoing website that you host the majority of your business activities on. What are the businesses that are supporting that? What are the individuals in those businesses that are supporting that? And how do you move forward together? Because in a lot of cases, you're probably not owning the space that you operate out of as the operator of your business, or the majority of your operations happen online or through some kind of transportation channels. And we need to look at that and say, who's helping me through this process? And say, how do I have a relationship with each of them? Right down to who's packing the packages, right? If you've got a brother with you, you're saying, we've got a big order, come in. I'd like to help you out Saturday. I'd like your help Saturday to pack all these businesses up, or I'm not businesses, these packages up. That's a friends and family transaction. Moving forward from there, you can categorize who's helping you. Number three, marketing, advertising, branding, and promotion. Again, are you paying somebody part-time or on a consulting basis to create social media content for you? If so, where does that person fit into these relationships? If you're hosting on a social media platform and you frequently use customer service support, how is that relationship going? Are you constantly hitting challenges working with that system? If so, how do you change? Who's taking the photographs that you're presenting on social media? Is there somebody that for a reasonable fee could up the quality of your social media presence? All of these people fit into different spaces. Now, not only people, organizations fit into different spaces in terms of how you build your marketing, advertising, branding, and promotion. We're going to build on that before I click. Where does it go? Are you asking to and being allowed to put up posters at an institution or in collaboration with a community supporter? Or are you allowed to use the branding from an organization that you want to be building your reputation alongside? It's another interesting question. We're going to move on, and I'm going to get a little quicker here because it doesn't apply to everybody, but inventory and supplies. In a retail operation, of course, this is essential to have the right balance between the cost of carrying inventory, cost of stockouts, so not having enough inventory, and the pieces in your supply chain. So I bring this one up because the relationships are more in categories 3, 4, and 5 from the previous slides. These are people that you need to have a relationship with, your suppliers, the people doing the transportation. And without a well-maintained relationship, you have an immediate challenge in your capacity to add value to your customer. So when it comes to inventory and supplies, do you have a not less collegial relationship, but a more formal relationship with your expectations clearly articulated and your pain points clearly articulated? Because everybody's getting paid when it comes to inventory and supplies. There's a cost for transportation, there's a cost for wholesale goods, there's often a cost for storage. So I'm glad we have this one here, because without it, we don't have one that looks specifically at professional individual relationships. But of course, inventory and supply management is all about maintaining that way forward over time. Equipment, similar category, but probably to a larger degree, because equipment is typically expensive, and you're probably employing individuals that weren't there for the purchase for upkeep and maintenance. If so, what equipment is required at the start of your business versus what equipment is required to maintain that equipment? Are there tools or skills or personnel you need to keep your equipment moving well? And if so, what happens if you call a friend who can't verify that your warranty is maintained versus calling or flying in a registered technician? How does picking which of those relationships you're going to leverage change the outcomes of your ability to use your equipment? Those are two very different relationships. My buddy's coming in to fix the commercial coffee roaster versus I'm paying somebody who's going to be in town and can give me a receipt for services purchased. How does that affect your ability to use the machine if it breaks? So, important choice on what relationship path you take. I'm not going to touch on human resources because it's so intricate and business specific. Are there MERCs, we would call them, mandatory employment related costs, that are associated with bringing in individuals? When do you need employees? When do you not need employees? In what circumstances is that individual employed with you? Are they part-time, full-time, contract? Are you telling people they're a contract, but in reality they're employed because they don't have any other alternative means of employment based on their relationship? Very particular case, and if you're looking for support navigating it, let us know. Beyond that, I want to do a couple of quick ones. One is payment methods and collection policies. That has credit collection policies, I should say. That has implications with your banker. There's probably an intermediary terminal provider, the physical debit machine, and you need these people in your corner and telling you what they need from you so you have a consistent product. You don't want to be people walking into your business and half the time you're saying it's cash only today because we had a fall through with our payment method system, or our credit collection policies are typically on a 30-day term, but we've pushed that back to 15 days because we have a cash flow shortage. You don't want these discrepancies, and you want to have the relationships in place to make sure that there's a consistent presentation to your customer. That dives into the piece about offering credit to your customers. Are you going to change credit offerings based on the relationships you've built with those individuals? There's a lot of ways to approach this, but I want it to be through the lens of how do I make sure the way I'm working with a person works for them and works for me. Moving forward from that, you need to look at legally forming and structuring your business. If there are other directors, what are those relationships? If there are other investors, what are those relationships? Is there a lawyer that's supporting my incorporation and document drafting? Is that something I did independently? If I didn't engage in that legal relationship, what are the potential pitfalls? What organizations in community, be it at the provincial government or other legislators that can say, here's the reasons that you had gaps. So who can be with you when it comes to legally forming and structuring your business? What I would suggest is that a lot of entrepreneurs go through this process and are hesitant to initially engage a lawyer for fear of absorbing fees beyond their ability to pay before they start their business. Totally fine. Explain to the person you're engaging with that you're here to investigate what it would cost to have services provided to you, and they'll try to give you an estimate within reason. Specific cases they can't always, but be prepared to say, I'm here to talk about how we might work together going forward, not walking in saying, I'm ready to pay you. Okay, moving on. This gets a little more specific, and in truth, I have this slide up here so you can pause and go over costs associated with that was an unintentional click. Each of these pieces, associated costs with municipal permitting, HST, when to absorb it, how does it work within your business, zoning restrictions, labor and permits, occupancy issues depending on if you have a landlord, if you don't, and registration fees if you're with a specific association, like if you're a medical professional or a physiotherapist, or you have to pay a third party for licensing to offer the services you do. Okay, moving on. What is your relationship with, or absence of relationship with, the bookkeeper? Banking and accounting is a slightly different matter. You're going to need a bank. Keep a relationship positive with them. You're probably going to need an accountant. How often is up to you, but bookkeeping is an important and tenuous one. A lot of people attempt to do their own bookkeeping. That's not good or bad. It's just a choice, and you should look at the amount of time going into that relative to the cost of a formal relationship with a bookkeeper, or an informal relationship with, I won't say a bookkeeper, but somebody keeping your financial records. What are the pitfalls versus positives of one versus the other? What are the costs if your parent or guardian is doing your books versus if you're paying somebody to verifiably work on this month in and month out? When you're considering the method, be it on the computer or in a book, you also need to look at the frequency of that method, the daily, weekly, monthly, or annual approach to bookkeeping. I wouldn't suggest going annual. Also consider the cost of this. So when I talk about this side of things, I'm saying not only what's your relationship with the people doing the work with you or for you, but how often are they engaging in that work, or how often are you engaging in that work? And what are the challenges or positives to that? Continuing with the bookkeeping and banking piece, I'm going to go away from the bookkeeping, more into the banking. Who is doing the banking for you? Do you working at the personal bank that you used to use that has now become your commercial bank? What are the positives or negatives of that? Are you in a small place where the lines are blurred? You'd like some more autonomy, or is there some productive, consistent, I'll say seamlessness to banking personal and banking commercial in the same place? Look at the fees associated with that and the people that you're working with, because most commercial banks will give you a account manager. Do you like them and are they working for you? It's important to look at it. Note on the bottom, they're not the same as bookkeeping services. One is the cataloging of transactions. Banking is the space where the transactions take place, money coming in, coming out. Of course, those are separate from accounting as well. And then another definitely professional first relationship is who's providing you insurance. What are the costs? What's the type of insurance you're purchasing? Are you getting a good deal? For how long are you locked into that insurance policy? What are the implications of you shopping elsewhere, or packaging, or combining, or getting a bundle? It's a way to take an analytical look at if you're getting a good deal and good coverage from your insurer, with consideration for the fact that it's going to be a professional relationship. So it's one of those number 4 or 5 relationships. And that's it. The hope for today was that you walked away, and I'm going to stop sharing. Ian, if you want to let me back out of there. I think we're good. I think you can see me on screen, right?
Yeah, we're all good.
Awesome. So, folks, I'm not sure how big I was on your screen before this, because I was just looking at my slideshow. But my hope is that you leave this session feeling like you can catalog and properly articulate who you need to support you, how that's going to work within the context of your business, and how the person or institution's relationship with that business can change. Then I wanted to take that relationship forward approach and align it with the different components of business operations that you might be working through. Some of them are relevant to you, some are not. Some are the central focus of your business, and some might feel like they don't apply, and that is perfectly fine. I also want you to know that this is an enormous topic. So if you want support teasing out how these relationships might work in the form of a business plan, that's what we're here to do. So reach out to me, reach out to Ian, we'll get you the information that you need. Thanks for having me, Ian.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming out today. And thanks for all the great information. I mean, there's, like you said, there's a ton of great information in there. And it's really important to build your supporting cast. I mean, a lot of these people want you to succeed, and they're ready to help you out in any way possible. So it's important to get in and get at that. So thanks again, Ted, for being here today. And if anyone watching wants to get in touch with us, you can visit our website or reach me at ian.mcdonald@cnl.nl.ca. So thanks again, and be ready to check out our next session.
We're on. Bye, folks.